what, 2-3 months since you jumped in.
Yep.
I particularly enjoyed working with you, Dylan. I think you come from a very unique background, very successful background for the internet space, and I think it's a great testament to what we do in that you were like quite successful in what you were doing prior to jumping in.
Yeah.
But you saw the value in it and you ended up, moving into it anyway. So I think it would be great for the viewers to understand what your background is and sort of what position you were in your life before considering jumping in and before, you becoming familiar with what we do.
Sure. So during the pandemic, right after the pandemic, I was mainly doing marketing and sales consulting. And when I really had my first come up in business, I went from like dirtbag teenager to very successful in the internet marketing space in really just a couple of months. My life completely changed. And I helped a few companies get to over $2 million a month as a sort of marketing / sales partner. And what I found was these businesses were very volatile. So we'd spike the revenue and have our heydays, and then, it would very quickly fall and sort of disappear. So I constantly have to reinvent the wheel and come up with crazy things to do in order to just keep making more income and expanding the businesses. So coming into Dealmaker, I actually watched your YouTube videos. I watched a few of them before opting in or booking a call or anything. And the way that you were talking just resonated a lot. And I don't really listen to any internet gurus per se, or pretty much 99% of stuff that I hear on the internet, I just totally disregard and shuffle off as total BS. But I noticed a lot of the ways that you would talk about business just deeply resonated with me, honestly, in terms of charging more money, delivering immensely more value than anyone else can, and really getting creative in terms of what's being offered and that sort of thing. So coming into Dealmaker, I just saw that there was an opportunity that was a perfect fit for me, being somebody that already had a skill set, that already had a lot of confidence, that was already kicking ass and taking names, to really take that to a whole nother level and enter a new playing field that I knew was out there, but really had no clue how to transition. And it was before I never knew what Dealmaker was that I wanted to get into a much bigger game business-wise, and didn't know exactly what that was going to be or what it looked like. So I, with pretty much no hesitation, signed up for Dealmaker and didn't totally know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know all the nitty-gritty details and what was going to be involved exactly. I just knew that I was going to get some direction that was going to help me transition into something that is much bigger. And I believe I told you when we hopped on the first call, like, hey, just give me a very concise action plan here, a few points and things to do, and I'm going to take it and knock it out of the park. And I definitely got that and a lot more. So what I've really loved about the program and in working with you is there hasn't been necessarily a lot of like stuff to watch or study so much as just very high level actionable things for me to just immediately start doing and taking action on and start getting results. the way that I really wanted to. So
Amazing.
that's me coming into this.
Okay. So I'd like to circle back to what things were like for you prior to jumping in. So if you could talk about what your, life circumstances were like, what your financial situation was like, just at a high level. You don't need to go into too much detail.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really valuable.
Yeah. So I've made over a couple $100,000 a month profit, consistently. It's went totally out the window before, made it back, several times. So I've usually done pretty well financially since I've been, 19 years old, and now I'm 25. So I've already done decently well, and it was just very volatile. And I knew that I was capable of doing a lot more, and I needed something a lot higher leverage, because there's only so hard that you can work. You only have so many hours in a week. And so I was pretty flat out, just working hard, doing things that made sense, that had made me money before, but my income was actually declining, even though I was learning and getting better. Personally, the results in my business weren't really reflecting that. So I knew that I needed to change something, because if you're not growing, if you're not expanding at an exponential rate, then something just needs to change. And so even though I was doing pretty well by most people's standards.
What were you doing specifically?
So I was doing marketing and sales consulting.
Right.
Anything from, just strategy and helping people to craft offers, do advertising, all the way to what I sort of specialized in was really the sales team aspect of things.
Right.
Creating sales teams, hiring guys that are just absolute studs, training them, retaining them.
Like notable clients that you had when you were doing marketing and sales consulting?
Yeah. I've worked with some bigger names like Ted McGrath Brands is one of them. He's done over a couple mil a month. Andrew and Bessie, his company, Boge Group, he runs a funding offer that, when I first met him, actually, he was living in his mom's basement, working DoorDash. I trained him up on sales, then eventually helped him launch his company, which is now making over a couple $1 million a month right now. So I've had some really awesome case studies, and just had really good results for a handful of people. But I'd say for a pretty large majority of my clients, they didn't get those exceptional results, quite honestly, because for one, I was just targeting everybody. And two, they weren't really paying me enough in order to get the results that everyone would be happy with. So I've gotten some really awesome case studies overall. But with the type of work that I was doing and the limited scope, I guess you could say, and the limited differentiation, it was challenging to keep consistently getting those kind of results for people.
Got it. I know that you alluded to just sort of jumping in, but was there anything that you were maybe skeptical of, or thought could have been more clearly articulated, or you were nervous about before jumping in? Was there anything that stood out particularly in your mind?
Well, what stood out is I guess the claims of being able to make over $100,000 a month in a brand new type of thing so early on. It got my attention, and I didn't, even though I've done that myself before in other businesses, I've never seen anybody else really making those kinds of claims for people coming into something new. And I don't know if I was totally skeptical, but it got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely not claims that are the norm in the industry. And generally, when you see claims like that, you're going to have a tremendous amount of skepticism around them. And I think it's incredibly healthy to have that. I do think, however, in our instance, we've been incredibly fortunate to have people that have been able to, see success. So, those claims come from not my own, or not just from my own results and my own experience using this protocol, but like directly from people that I've taught.
Yep.
Which I think is oftentimes, when you see someone teaching something, like they may have gotten to a certain point, they start teaching and then they completely shift their focus to the teaching and consulting aspect, because usually that vehicle ends up becoming more of an opportunity than the original thing itself. Like you see a lot of guys teaching sales, right? You can make 30, 40, 50 grand a month being a sales rep at the top level. But when you teach sales, you can be making millions, right? Same with marketing, right? The opportunity shifts and the vehicle ends up becoming teaching. The interesting thing with this is the best vehicle is the thing itself.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting distinction to have and to realize. So is there anything you want to touch on?
Yeah, I think that it's, for me, with anything in life, it's really important to learn from somebody that's actually doing what it is that you want to do. And it is very rare to find someone that's actually doing what they're teaching, because like you said, it's usually that becomes the opportunity. And I mean, I've even ran into that myself with business I've ran. I'd start cranking on some kind of business model and would do really well with that. And then the opportunity would become
how can I teach people this and, make millions as opposed to making hundreds of thousands, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think it's important that we touched on that. So I think, it took about a month to wrap your head around the system, put the marketing strategies and systems in place. And then you very quickly got to a point where like you're booking more meetings than probably everyone else in the community combined.
Yeah.
Like the things that you're doing with AI and automation, that I think that really exemplifies what you do in this process, in that we give you the skeleton, the structure, but in order to be successful with it, you really need to take it, make it your own, and imbue it with your own expertise, your own skill set by virtue of whatever you had done previously, right? And really make it something that is robust and unique. Because if we all do the exact same thing, then the thing kind of breaks, right? So it's really that's why we don't, have like, this is exactly how you have to do it. It's like, this is in general what the process is, go and make it your own, right? Yeah. So if you could touch a little bit on, how the system's working for you right now, the kind of results that you're getting it, both from like an actionable, or not an actionable, but from the perspective of like the leading indicators, like, the opportunities that you're getting, the deals that you're closing, the conversations you're having, the team that you've built, and then we can talk about the monetary after.
Yeah, sure. So with the marketing machine that I've built based on from a high level standpoint, what you've given me, I've been able to book over 100 appointments a day.
Could you show us?
Yeah. I'll share my screen here. And
I think if I heard that myself listening to this, I'd be like, this guy's lying.
Yeah, pretty much whenever I tell someone that, I need to show rather than just tell. But while I'm pulling this up, I'll say what's very interesting about it is, if you look at how much it costs to generate an appointment with, like, let's say pay-per-click ads, just in any like high ticket type of gig or offer, I don't know how much that would cost in order to get.
I've done the numbers. Like, you're looking high level $70 to $200 per CPM, which is generally what we would be charged, like what we would be paying if we were running ads, which we used to run at Savvy, right? So for every 1,000 people to look, we're spending about $100 to $150, like on the low end 70, right? Because of how competitive the space is. But I've done the numbers for outbound, and your CPM drops to like literally within the single digits.
Yeah, that's right.
You're getting thousands of people to look at it, or, in some instances, definitely in your instance, thousands of people to look at the offer for like literally single digit dollars.
Yeah.
So your strategic and tactical advantage is like simply by matter of fact that you are going to have like orders of magnitude more people looking at it. There is no way that you're not going to be able to make this work. Like, your closing percentage can literally be like fractions of a percentage, and you're still going to make more money with this than you would if you were, running a traditional.
Yeah, that's right. Like, the whole marketing setup probably only costs me like $1,000 or $2,000 max per month, and literally has the potential to just generate millions and millions of dollars per month. It's insane.
And I think it's important to touch on this because we're competing in a space that's incredibly it's incredibly mature and developed, and it's a consultative space, and it's a space where it's highly regulated, and you don't see other people in this space like doing any kind of marketing.
Yep.
Like this, no direct response kind of marketing. Like, it's very much so based on word of mouth. It's, putting out press releases, but like over and above, the vast majority of firms out there doing any kind of capital advisory work are really just bread and butter, word of mouth, relationship based business.
Correct.
And they don't even think to do any kind of marketing like this. So when you show them what you're able to do, where you're booking 100 appointments a day, and they're used to getting a few a week, like 1 to 2, 3 a week for new business opportunities, they are absolutely blown away. So even if, they have the pedigree, the expertise, the experience, you're able to catch up in such a short amount of time because of how many repetitions and how many, at bats you get. And then you couple that with the things of, bringing on advisors, bringing on mentors that can help you with this, and you show them what you're capable of doing, they see this as the opportunity, right?
Yep.
So I think it'd be really valuable to touch on that as well, where you've been able to get, I think you have an advisor, $40 billion in transaction volume. That's now on your board, right?
Yeah. Correct.
And you were like, here, this is what I'm doing. And he's like blown away. So I think it'd be good for you to talk about that, because I know that was an anecdote that you shared with me that would be very valuable for other people as well.
Yeah. And that's been extremely key because, like, I don't have a finance background, and I don't pretend to have a finance background. I literally tell pretty much all of my prospects, like, hey, I'm the connect the dots guy. And, people are happy with that. They don't care that I don't have a finance background.
Right.
Yeah. Basically, that was the thing that allowed me to attract these advisors, is because first I started generating a ton of appointments, and then I was able to show them, even though I had, not the most solidified idea of how exactly to close these things or how to deliver yet. It's very interesting because that allowed me to be able to deliver and know what I was going to be doing, and have a team that really knows what it's doing more than I'll possibly be ever able to, at least within the next couple of years. And so I would just hop on calls with these guys that are now advisors to my firm and show them my calendar and say, hey, look, I've got all these appointments, and I want to share deals. would you be willing to help me out with this firm and get a piece of the action? And most of them just say yes. It's not even like,
Yeah.
There's no hesitation. Sometimes it's just, okay, how are we going to structure this? And we're just working out little minor details on how exactly I'm going to get paid. But
yeah,
it's pretty straightforward, and it's a no-brainer for them to just have me bring deals to them that meet their criteria. And then they provide expertise and tell me which directions to go in, which opportunities to avoid, and just overall give me guidance based on 20, 30 years of experience each.
Yeah.
In their sort of industries that they've selected.
Yeah. So I want to be conscious of time here. I know that you're a busy man. So let's talk about what your actual offer is, how much you're charging, what you have in pipeline, what you've collected, what you stand to make. Like, let's start diving into the actual quantifiable metrics.
Yeah, sure. So my offer as it stands at this point is basically helping people that are doing capital raises, or more recently also mergers and acquisitions, which is pretty general, but we're essentially doing services that support them in their efforts. So that I use some key language to make it so that I'm not directly raising capital for them or doing these things that would technically require a license. It's worded in a way where essentially I don't need to be,
Right.
but we're supporting them with PR and marketing efforts essentially to assist them in their capital raise. And that's the general gist of the offer. Is we're going to connect the dots to get your capital raise or your merger and acquisition deal done. Is high level what the offer is. So firstly, I was charging $15K up front, then I raised it to $25K up front. Pretty soon here it's going to be $50K minimum. I've been telling people as of recently it's $50K, and
that's what it is.
That's basically what it is. I'm just having my sales team catch up with me so that's what everybody's being told.
Right.
But pretty soon it's going to be a $50K minimum. So I've closed a bunch, I think 4 or 5 deals total now. And I mean, this week we've got closed 2 50K deals, 50K upfront payments. And all in all, in the pipeline, what I've got in terms of success fees that will be paid rounds out to just about $7.8 million.
Right.
So
and just for for context, in terms of the time scale, you started August. It's November 27th today.
Correct.
So we're literally 90 days in. You've got almost $8 million tabled. You've made well over $100,000 cumulatively, and you're charging 50 grand a pop now for each individual transaction. Got it. So
just as the upfront fee.
Just as the upfront fee, not considering what the back end looks like. So you've retained a lawyer who's helping you with compliance. You're going to be taking your licenses and your exams soon. Broker dealers on the horizon in the next month or two, I would assume. And I think what would be good is if there's anyone else who's watching this who is maybe on the fence or is considering maybe it's not something for them or they're not capable, what would the advice be to them? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, my advice would be that truthfully it's not for everyone, but if you are a smart individual, you got a decent IQ, you don't have to have a sky high IQ, but as long as you're not a dumbass, you can make it work. And I think there's more risk in not taking the opportunity than taking the opportunity. Like the risk of not going ahead with Dealmaker is way greater than the risk of doing Dealmaker. So I give it a high recommendation for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking your time. You've probably got a call right after the. Do you have a call right now?
Yeah, in a minute.
Yeah. So yeah, appreciate you taking your time. I'll see you on group call tomorrow morning. And yeah,
Good deal.
been great working with you, man.
Likewise.
Looking forward to seeing the rest of your success.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Ciao.
Okay. Ciao.